hello and welcome back to Cities Skylines and the city of West Bambridge. Now this episode, the start of this episode at least, I'm going to do a little bit of a recap because as I tried to record this episode and made some changes to the city for the episode, I only realised afterwards that it hadn't actually recorded and captured the footage, and by that time I'd already saved the city file, so there was no going back and just repeating what I had done, unfortunately. So what we're going to do to start today, like I said, is just recap what was missed in the recording snafu the first time around and just see where we are at. So let's bring up the user interface, shall we? Now we've got a bit of a problem over here, as we can see straight off the bat. What I've done is, if you cast your mind back, this area here was an industrial area with factories and foundries and that sort of thing built around here. Now I've removed all of those and I've replaced them with office buildings. I was going to go with some upmarket, high land value residential buildings to be nice along the riverfront here. However, because we have the recycling centre and the sewage treatment plant quite nearby, that would drag the land value down quite precipitously. So what I've done instead is gone for an office park, and as we can see, I put far too many down far too quickly, and we don't have nearly enough workers for all of these offices, which is why they're all complaining, or worse still, why they have been abandoned. Obviously over time that will change, so for now we are going to have to do our best to ignore that little problem. In an attempt to offset some of the worker shortages that we are experiencing, I did go ahead and build this as well, and this is another high-rise complex similar to what we have over here, and I did this using the ploppable Rico mod. So I selected the buildings I actually wanted, went for UK themed, UK style high-rises, and I've put a load down quite close to the office park, and that was in a vain attempt to try and get these some workers. As we can see, it's not quite worked out because they're still abandoned, and the ones that do remain, as we can see here, they're complaining about a lack of workers, particularly the highly educated workforce that they require. Now the industrial buildings that were here, they have been relocated and they're now on the outskirts of the city. So if we head over this way, we can see here we have Whippingham Industrial Park, and this is where our dirty, polluting industries have been moved out to get them away from the city centre. The highway connection that was going into this junction here, I have, as we can see, removed it as much as I can. Obviously we can't get to this because we don't have access to this city tile at this point, so I've deleted what I was able to delete to make room for a nice arterial road, bit of a roundabout, and then obviously we go into Whippingham Industrial Park itself. As we can see at the moment, it's a little bit on fire, but one of our fire trucks has arrived there to combat the blaze. I've also extended or added on to the subway loop that we have for the city, and we can see just here we have a new metro station which serves this area, and the idea being, of course, we want the people to use public transportation to get to work and back rather than coming down here in private vehicles. As we can see by the profile of the traffic down here, it is primarily trucks and freight vehicles that are making their way down here. There are a couple of private vehicles interspersed here and there, but you're never going to completely eradicate them, so that's okay. Looks like I might need to do just a little bit of work on the junction rules here at this roundabout because they're stopping unnecessarily at this point. So what we're going to do is, before we do anything else, is just make sure these the roads that feed onto the roundabout are set to give way, and then we're going to go into all of these here and allow people on the roundabout to pass straight on into the adjoining node so they don't stop and wait unnecessarily. The only people who should be stopping are the ones who might be joining into the into the roundabout from one of the feeder roads. As we can see, that seems to be flowing a little bit more smoothly now, so that's that little problem sorted out. It wasn't causing too much of an issue, I don't think. As we can see, we do have some build up leading back down towards the main roundabout in our city. Hopefully it's not causing too much congestion down here. No, it's looking pretty good, to be fair. So hopefully now that the roundabout junction rules have been amended, this will start to clear up and start heading in to where it needs to be a lot smoother and a lot faster. What I've also done is I've put down a few extra elementary and high schools for the city, especially in the high density residential areas, because the schools that they did have previously were full to capacity, and that means our young citizens were not able to get themselves an education. So adding a few extras just improves the overall capacity of our schools in the city, and putting them near these high density residential areas such as this over here and up here in Penketh should help them get their education that they need, and they then can climb that education ladder, hopefully culminating in heading into university, so we start getting the highly educated workforce that these officers require. Now we could just remove all these, but I'm just going to leave them and let them sort themselves out, so to speak. They will rebuild as and when they're able to, but I think at this point in time we're going to have a bit of a cycle with these office buildings where they rebuild, realise they don't have enough staff and workers, and then they go abandoned once again. So with all that being said, I think what we'll do quickly is we'll just use the cinematic camera and have a quick look through our city using the cinematic camera option. And I'll stop talking at this point and we can just take a look at some eye candy. In fact, before we do that, it's probably not a bad idea just to set the time of day back to early morning so we get a good view of the city itself during daylight hours. So yes, enjoy this brief little tour of the city, and then we shall crack on with the episode proper. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little overview of the city, and now we can crack on and do some city expansion and some proper gameplay. As you can see, we do have a high demand for residential, so we need to address that. And I think what we're going to do is put ourselves a nice residential district in this area here between Montrose, New Portsea and, well, this isn't part of a district I don't think over here, so we might want to include this or make this its own separate district as well. But essentially, yes, we're going to have a nice district in this area here. So the first thing we're going to need to do is build ourselves a collector road that everything is going to be based off of. And we'll go for which one do we want to use? There, we could go for the UK one here. It doesn't have a median, or maybe we'll go for this one here, which also doesn't have a median, and it also does not have a roadside parking as well. So yeah, let's just get a nice collector put together, and I think we'll link it into there as well. We shall also have a junction here, and we're going to try and keep it rather, relatively uniform. There may be a few curls and swirls and the likes, but we want to make as much use of the land available as we can. However, we also don't want it to be too boring and too grid-like. At this point, it might be worth swapping this junction out for a roundabout, so I think we shall do that. 2-lane road I think is going to be fine. Yes, that's a little bit too large as we can see. It's going to extend over the edge of the city limit, so if we just reduce the radius to 30, How's that? That might still be a little close. 25 perhaps. There we go. And what we're going to do now is just very quickly check the junction rules here to make sure the traffic behaves as we'd like it to and as intended on a roundabout. And we're just going to repeat the process to what we did on the roundabout by Whippingham Industrial Park by just changing the giveaway signs around and also allowing the traffic to enter the next node if there's nothing there blocking them. So there we go, that should free up a bit of traffic there. We're not having to, well, we've still got the same amount of junctions converging together, but it should hopefully be a little bit more free flowing now that we have the roundabout. The last thing I would like to do is actually give these all dedicated turning lanes as well. So let's just quickly do that like so. So if you're in the left hand lane, then you are leaving the roundabout. If you're in the right hand lane, you're progressing on to the next node of the roundabout and leaving at a later point. Okay, that's all done and dusted. We just need to quickly remove some of these trees. I keep forgetting to remove the tree anarchy when it comes to building roads, so the game doesn't automatically remove them, and you can see them sprouting up through the concrete on the road, which is not great, but it's very, it's quick and easy to remove them, so that's not a problem. I might convert this to a roundabout as well while we're at it, maybe a smaller roundabout this time, say 20 or maybe even 15 if it doesn't look too bizarre. Yeah, we'll have a roundabout there as well, and again I'll just very quickly go through and make sure the junction rules are set up correctly. Okay, there we go, that's all now set up as it should be. Bit weird here, I think, are they allowed to park on that bit? Let's just make sure they don't park on the roundabout. That's not the right option. Nope, it's all set as a clear way, so they shouldn't be parking over there. Let's just make sure it's the same over here as well. Yeah, that's set as a clear way, so there'll be no parking along the roundabouts. Right, now we can actually zone in our suburban streets and roads. And I think we shall utilise, which ones do we want to use? Maybe this one here, which has parking spaces alongside so they don't clutter onto the road. Or we could go with these, which have the decorative trees, which is going to increase land value and also lower noise pollution, so that's an option. Or perhaps this one here, which is the UK variant of that one. So yeah, we'll go with that one. There should still be plenty of room if they want to park anyway, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And we'll, like I said, we want to make pretty decent use of the land available to us here. So we'll keep these rather straight, I think, for this little district. That'll allow us to put as many residences down as we can feasibly do, and that should obviously help increase our population because we have more capacity and more space for them to come and... oh, that's a bit... yeah, it's fine, we'll leave it like that. Yeah, as I was saying, it gives that little bit more space to build their houses because there's more zoning available to them. Obviously, that being said, we are going to have a few curvy roads like that, as we can see. The odd one or two isn't really too much of a problem. I'm just going to quickly reset the time of day to the early hours so we can build in daylight, so we can see exactly what we are doing and what space we have available. Okay, distance too short. There we go. And if you, in fact, you can go into there, and then I think we'll have, go back to straight roads here, and we'll just have a little cul-de-sac style thing going off right here, like that. There you go, that gives us plenty of space for residential buildings. We're going to want to make sure we have a water supply down here, of course. Power will bubble over naturally from the surrounding areas, so we don't need to, or we shouldn't need to, include any power lines in all of this, but the water pipes are obviously going to be needed. Okay, that's the water coverage taken care of. We can now go ahead and actually get these residential buildings zoned in. And shall we go for more high density, or do we want to go back to some low density in this area? I'll say we'll go for a bit of low density. We've done quite a bit of high density as of late, so just having that little bit of low will be a nice break and a nice change. So let's just, using the fill tool, let's just get as much of this zoned in as we can as quickly as possible. Okay, we also need some commercial, and we'll have the commercial run along the main arterial road like this, and perhaps along this collector what runs by the hospital as well. And then we'll leave that to populate and see what sort of effect it's gonna have. Let's get rid of that. Do we, where is the nearest subway station to here? It's this one here by the shopping centre, and I believe there's another one. Yep, there's one just here as well. Do we have a bus stop in this area? No, we don't. So what we might want to do is have a bus stop for this new district that includes a stop over here that'll service both this school and the subway station due to this path right here. And then they can access the subway quite readily, so they should be less inclined to drive. So let's do that. So we want buses, bus stops, and as I said, we want to make sure we do incorporate the school. So we'll put a stop there, and then this will then just come through the, this whole new district. Don't want to put too many stops down, but we want to ensure that we have decent coverage, of course. And then you can come back this way. You can have a quick stop in there, and then you can head back to the starting position. Let's just quickly change the colour of this bus line. This is bus line 7. What colours do we have at the moment? Let's go for a black, just to differentiate it nicely. And I think the last thing we want to do for this district is actually make it its own separate and distinct district. So we'll do that now. And this is obviously going to be Saddleworth, as we can see, which is absolutely fine. And we'll have it butt up against the districts of Newportsea and Montrose. And as we're getting close to these boundaries here, we shall use the smaller paint tool for the district zoning, just to make it as tidy as we possibly can. Okay, now we can just run the district all along the main arterial road here. Do we want to include that section? We might go up as far as this school and the medical centre that we have just here, like this. We'll include this little area. We will not include those high-rise buildings there. They will be included in Portsea, like so. There we go. We also probably want to go ahead and actually make this its own district as well. I didn't do that when I made the district in the episode that never recorded, or the episode that wasn't, if you will. So we'll do that quickly now. And this, at the moment, it's called it Cressington. Now, given that we have Abbotsbury Park not too far away, I think we might change Cressington to Abbotsbury. It just makes a little bit more sense to me. And if it actually includes Abbotsbury Park, then it would make even more sense. Like so. There we go. So yes, we'll name this one Abbotsbury. In terms of the themes, we'll leave that as default, because that's all been done by Rico anyway. Or Ploppable Rico. Saddleworth, in terms of themes for Saddleworth, we'll just leave that without a distinct theme, and it can just be what it is. And we'll see what the game gives us, shall we? So I think what we'll do now that we're coming up to night, is we shall just accelerate time so we skip through the night. And well, let's see what sort of cinematic views we get. We'll keep it at 3 times speed. We'll get the night through as quickly as we can, so we can then continue in daylight hours. Right, just as we're skipping through the nighttime hours, I've just come over to Whippingham Industrial Park, and as we can see, the backlog of traffic that was being generated by this roundabout and the bizarre AI driving due to the junction restrictions, yeah, that's all being cleared through now, as we can see. So that's a positive change. Everything else is looking pretty good so far. In fact, let's just take a moment while we're waiting for night to pass just to have a look at some of our city vitals, shall we? So for example, elementary school looking pretty good. Could do some more down here for Penketh, I think, and Montrose, but it might just be a case of they've not yet graduated elementary school. High school much the same again, Montrose, that's why I built this new one here in the episode that wasn't. We have Grange Hill, and we have this one. No, we don't have one here. We might need one for Penketh as well. And let's have a look at the... Oh no, there's quite a bit of capacity at Grange Hill and at this high school here. They're only about half full. So there is capacity for the students of Penketh, who live in Penketh I should say, to attend either Grange Hill or this school right here. Go away. University, obviously we only have the one, as and when we can build a university campus. I know we can do a, I think it's a technical school or a trade school right now, but in terms of, for want of a better phrase, a university proper, we don't have. We've not unlocked that milestone yet, as obviously when we do, we will do one of those. Public library, we only have the one. It's probably not a bad idea to actually put down a couple extra public libraries. Are we back to daylight hours? I'm not sure. Right, so we want a library. That's a community school. Here we go, public library. And well, we've got some space here. They've not built in this area yet. So if we put it... Oh, we can't squeeze it in there. Yeah, if we put it about there, that should boost the land value in this area. We are back into daylight hours, which is good to see. In terms of medical care, we have a small medical practice here and our city hospital right here. So we don't need to worry about giving them extra or additional medical facilities in Saddleworth. In terms of fire coverage, we have a station not too far away, so I think we're fine. And we also have the firefighting helicopter depot here as well. And for the police, again, we have a station right here, which is not a million miles away, but I might put another one just down here if we can squeeze one in somewhere just there, and that'll give a bit more coverage on the office park and obviously into Saddleworth as well. So we still need some more commercial zoning, as we can see, so we'll put a bit of that down right now. And again, we'll fill in this area here. There's nothing being zoned here at this moment, as well as down here as well. And we could always have some waterfront shops along here if we wanted. In fact, yeah, let's do that, because why the heck not? Like so. And while these houses are still building and they haven't quite built in yet, what I am going to do is give them a few footpaths to allow quicker and easier access between all the various cul-de-sacs and side streets, so they can make their way around the district of Saddleworth that little bit easier and a bit more direct if they're travelling on foot. So for example, places like this, we'll just link these two with a little footpath like that. This here can be linked to the hospital road, and we can also have a link over to this subway station as well. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Like so. Again, we've got the prop and tree anarchy on. They're very blurry. I'm not sure why that is, but it's not the end of the world. Oh, bit of a jump there. I think that was auto-saving. Where else would make sense? Well, we could link this in to there. And perhaps also have a link in by this shopping area to the residential area there as well. And we'll not be able to squeeze one through there, but we will be able to do that. Let's see, one down here wouldn't go amiss. We might be able to squeeze one in here, just about. And we have one there already, so that one's okay. Anything else we could put in just to make their lives a little bit easier? We could have a little one just here. And again, it's all just to give them as much incentive and encouragement as possible to travel by foot rather than driving everywhere. So we'll see what that does. We can already see a couple of people using them, which is obviously really nice to see. So yeah, Saddleworth is starting to fill out quite nicely. Got a population of 712 as we can see. At the moment our RCI indicators are all very low, although it does look like they're starting to rise just a little, perhaps not. But over time, even if they don't need the influx of residents right now, we do have the capacity for them as and when they are required. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll end it for today. If you saw episode 17 on the Transport Fever 2 series, you'll know that due to the shift that I'm working this week, my time is exceptionally limited. But I still want to make sure we had at least some content going out, even if it's a little bit shorter than perhaps I'd ordinarily aim for. I'll try and get maybe at least one more Transport Fever 2 video up this week, and hopefully find time to squeeze in a Cities Skylines video as well, although I cannot guarantee that at this point. Obviously next week, those of you who do live in the UK, you'll be well aware that we have an extended weekend because we have the Queen's Platinum Jubilee bank holiday on Thursday and Friday next week, as well as the spring bank holiday. So that's me off work there, and then the week after that I'm not at work at all, so plenty of time. So the rest of this week and perhaps next week or the start of next week might be a bit the videos might be a bit fewer and far between, but I'll do what I can to at least get something out there for you. So what I'm going to do now is find ourselves a vehicle that we can hop on board and follow through the city to have a nice little outro. So I'll pick it back up once I've picked a suitable vehicle. Okay, so I found a biofuel garbage truck right here. That should take us in and around the various parts of the city quite nicely. So we'll hop on board the garbage truck. Mind the trees and bushes in the road. I need to obviously get rid of those. And this is where we'll say our fond farewells. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, even if it is a little bit shorter than I'd ordinarily aim for. Please get out of the road, sir. That's not a good place to chill out. Yeah, all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.